It's Utah's rock station, K-Bear 101. My name's Metalhead Murphy. And on the line right now, my guest is Greg Gutfeld from the Fox News Channel. You've seen him on Hannity, O'Reilly, Glenn Beck, and many others. He currently hosts his own television show that airs at 1 a.m. here Mountain Time, and it's called Red Eye with Greg Gutfeld, and it's hands down my favorite program on television. How the hell are you, Greg?
I'm doing great. Glad to be on your show, especially with somebody named Metalhead. Makes me very happy.
Right on. Well, hey, for the people in Utah here that aren't familiar with Red Eye, and I'm sorry if you get these questions a million times, but I want to really make sure that people in Utah know about your show and tune into it because it's fantastic. But can you, in a nutshell, explain what Red Eye is for those out there that may not know it?
Well, Red Eye is basically kind of an irreverent, subversive talk show that we cover everything from pop culture to politics, and we do it in kind of a way that you would discuss things at a bar. So it's much looser. You never know what you're gonna see, what to expect. It's extremely strange. If you never, I mean, one way to find out about it is simply to go to its Wikipedia page, and when you read it, you realize there's nothing like it. It's been compared to a sandwich that you make when you come home drunk at 3 a.m. You open up the fridge, and whatever's there, you make into a sandwich. That's what Red Eye is. It's on at 3 a.m. The people that we have on there are like pieces of a glorious sandwich. We have comedians. I mean, we've had presidential candidates. We've had comedians. Last night we had Ambassador John Bolton, but then we have Jim Norton. We have Gilbert Gottfried. Then I'll have like amazing bands, like Torch and the Melvins and stuff, and a lot of like metal and punk bands that don't really get any airtime anywhere else. So it's I don't think there's any show like this. And not to say that we're incredibly competent, but there's nothing like us. And half the time we don't know what we're doing.
I saw I've seen every one of your brand new podcasts now, and I saw the one where you're talking about actually Wikipedia and how it weirded you out, how people are so into it, and it's updated immediately.
Yeah.
These weirdos out there that sit around and I don't know. I've never. Yeah, it creeps me out because K-Bear has a Wikipedia page, and I feel you on that one, man, because they posted like right when I got the job doing my show. It was up there the next day, and for some reason they know I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, so they even added that in there. And Metalhead Murphy is one of the biggest Dallas Cowboys fan on the planet.
It's a strange thing. It's like, but then again, I mean, I don't understand how things are produced. I'm a very simple man, so the idea that there are millions of people out there doing this, but it's also great because that means there's a fan who's following what you do and put it up there, and that's helpful for Red Eye because people can go there and learn about it. But
yeah, that's cool. I wanted to ask, how and when did Red Eye come about?
Well, I was working. I'm a magazine guy. We used to be the editor of Men's Health, and then it was Stuff Magazine, and then Maxim in the UK. I was in there, and then I started, when I was in London working at Maxim, I started blogging for the Huffington Post, basically the bug lamp for left-wingers. And because I was there and I was making fun of them mercilessly, but they didn't really know that I was making fun of them because I was just approximating their voice, their liberal voice, and then parroting it and then just exaggerating it. They just thought I was more liberal than they were, but I was just making fun of them. And a bunch of people started reading me and passing around my posts at Fox News. And then the next thing you know, I was contacted by a Fox News employee out in London. We had drinks, and they were talking about this idea, and I said, "Hey, I'll do it." I always say, I volunteered because I was drunk because I never would have had the guts. I had very little TV experiences. I did some, guest shots on VH1 here and there, but nothing substantial. And so they flew me in. I met with all the great people here, and I always wanted to work at Fox News. To me, it's like it's the rebel outfit. It's the truly daring group of people in the media. Everybody else thinks the same way, and Fox is unafraid, And I always thought that if there's it's so like what we call rebellion these days is actually conformity. Everybody tries to you've got get the tattoos and the clothing and all that stuff, but the real rebellious person works at Fox News, I think, because everybody in the media, hates you.
Yeah, it's
You
very
got a
true.
big target on your back, and I love that. So I enjoy, and so we now, I guess we're coming up on our 1,000th show.
That's awesome.
Which is in about I think 2 weeks.
Well, that's awesome, man. You have a co-host, Bill Schultz,
Yeah,
and an ombudsman, Andy Levy.
yeah. Let me clarify. Bill is not my co-host. He's just a repulsive sidekick.
Oh, yeah.
We need to make that clear. I don't want his head to swell. He's not even close to being my co-host.
That's hilarious.
He's not even close to being human. Let's face it.
Is he really a liberal? I mean, is it?
I think he is. I think he'll tell you he isn't.
Yeah.
I've known him for 10 years, and he's never said a single political thing to me in his entire life. And then when I asked him to come on Red Eye, because basically I was booking the show when it started, and it was like
cool.
finding my friends, and I put him on there, and he didn't start. All of a sudden I realized, oh my God, this guy that I've known for years is a liberal. But that's what happens in publishing. Like, I worked with him, and there's an assumption that everybody's liberal, and no one knew what I was because I never really talked about it.
Yeah. I'll be 27 years old in like 2 weeks, and it's only been in like the last 3 or 4 years I've actually educated myself in politics, and I've got long hair to the middle of my back, and I've got 2 earrings in each ear, and so people assume that I'm some liberal, and I
yeah. The true rebellion is not being a liberal.
Yeah, and you should have seen last year G.W. Bush. He came here for a book signing. I stood 7 hours in line, and you should have seen some of the looks I was getting from old ladies. I mean, it was
man.
Yeah, I was with my buddy. I'm like, that woman's giving me the skunk eye, man. And she was staring me down pretty hard. But that was pretty cool for me. But so you touched on magazines and print, and then jumping to television. And I think it's awesome because you have on your show, Red Eye. Again, I'm talking with Greg Gutfeld from Red Eye with Greg Gutfeld. And you have everyone on there from political pundits to actors, rock stars, country singers, and some of the most beautiful women on the planet, and I think it's fantastic. I'm in love with Diane Macedo, by the way.
Oh, yeah, who isn't, though? You'll have to wait in line.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to creep her out, next time you see her, be like, yeah, there's this weirdo radio DJ guy in Salt Lake that is obsessed with you. But I also wondered, do you ever find yourself having to hold back doing it due to it being television? Because in your book, which I'm a huge fan of, I bought it the day it came out, The Bible of Unspeakable Truths, go pick it up, folks, you sure didn't hold back anything, and I found that to be awesome.
Yeah, well, the one thing you got to be aware of is when you're on TV, you're in people's living rooms, and you want to be, and you're also on a major network, so there you can't swear.
Yeah.
And I kind of straddle a fence where my humor is essentially kind of deviant, but my politics are conservative. So a lot of times my conservative politics kind of freak out people who have like weird senses of humor, whereas my weird sense of humor freaks out people who are conservative. So I'm always kind of, and Red Eye is right on that fence. I mean, it's bizarre, but it's got a conservative bent, and no one's done that before. It's kind of weird. So when I'm there, I have to be cognizant of the fact that there are grandmothers at home and stuff, and also it is harder, to do something clean than it is to do something dirty. So I try to keep it fairly clean, but I think we really do push the limits. Though my book is probably a little nastier.
I'm such a fan of your book. Speaking of your book, I the first thing, and this is what I immediately fell in love with it. I turned to page 1. Topic: media ass jackets. Subject: you can do all media-related jobs drunk off your butt.
It's true. I mean, everybody that's worked in magazines knows that. The stereotype of the drunken editor is pretty true. And people that have real jobs, if they drank, they would lose an arm. Anybody dealing in construction or building things, anything like you got to things that require you to be sober. Those are real jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. My other favorite, probably my favorite, is under the in your book, The Bible of Unspeakable Truths, under obligatory sex junk. And S&M lovers need to get their asses kicked for real.
Yeah. Well, it's because the way I look at it is if you really understood pain, you wouldn't be looking for it.
I know, right?
I
agree with 100%. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt. I am a legitimate fan. And your producer emailed me, must have been like 3 times. Okay, what are the topics? And I'm like, I don't really have a topic, but I'm not a shock jock, and I'm not going to throw him under the bus. I'm a legitimate fan. I'm so. If you can't tell, I'm wicked nervous to even talk to you.
You shouldn't be.
Okay, well, I only have you here for a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
But I wanted to touch on a couple more things. Since I do a music show, I kind of wondered what is your favorite music, and what's on your iPod now, kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, I kind of veer. I guess most of the music that I listen to would be considered extreme because it's not radio friendly stuff, though I think it's radio friendly stuff, and I love it. I guess what I'm saying is I love metal, I love punk, I like hardcore.
Nice.
I like, but I'm veering away into electronica because I think there are some bands that use analog synthesizers the way people use guitars, in really creative, innovative ways. I'd say my favorite performer right now is Tobacco, which is it's part of this group called Black Moth Super Rainbow, and a lot of metalheads and they wouldn't get into this kind of music, but you're missing out. The album Maniac Meat is the heaviest. It's like the heaviest album I've heard all year, and 2010 it came out, and I play it more than any album in the last 5 years, and it's just melodies and heaviness and just brutal. I love Torch, which is this great band out of Gainesville, and the lead singer's Steve Brooks. People would call it doom. Yeah. It's kind of pop metal. Brooks used to be in a band called Floor, which is really doom metal, also Gainesville. If you pick up Torch's first album or the second one, which is Neanderthal, you will be ecstatic. If you've never heard of this band, it's pure, awesome pop metal. The first Torch album reminds me of the first Van Halen album. Just makes you want to like jump up. I also love the Wild Hearts, which is a British pop metal band that kind of just came and went. They were mildly big in the 90s, and I think drug abuse hit them. But I became friends with Ginger, who's the lead singer of the Wild Hearts. If you just go onto iTunes or anywhere and listen to Vanilla Radio, just that song, you'll see they're like a Cheap Trick meets Blue Oyster Cult with a little bit of heavy, but heavier. And Vanilla Radio is to me one of the greatest rock songs ever written. Of course, the Melvins. I'm a massive Melvins fan. I love King Buzzo, and I love Phanomas, which is the group of featuring Mike Patton and King Buzzo and Dave Lombardi of Slayer. I actually saw Phanomas I've seen them a bunch of times, but I saw them when they had the drummer from Frank Zappa, whose name now escapes me, Terry Bozzio, and it was insane. And if you don't own, if you're truly into heavy music, you got to get the director's cut by Phanomas. It's insane. It's all movie soundtracks metalized, and with Mike Patton singing.
Nice.
And he's probably the greatest living singer, I think, and not to sound redundant, on the planet. But and then I would add, lastly, John Grant, who's lead singer of a band called The Czars, which no longer exists, and he's got an album out called Queen of Denmark, which is fantastic. I would put it as kind of like almost soft rock, but insidiously written soft rock. Just canceled his American tour. He was supposed to be on Red Eye next week, and we found out it's been canceled, which is a bummer. That's pretty much what I'm listening to now. I would urge everybody to check out Tobacco and Torch and Wild Hearts. I'm sure your viewership knows the Melvins.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I just in closing here, I know you got to go. Speaking of the Bible of Unspeakable Truths, your book that came out last year, it's fantastic. Go buy it. Really quickly, do you have any plans to write another book in the future?
Yeah, I'm actually finishing up something. I don't know when it's going to come out, and I don't want to say what it's about, but it'll be fun. It'll be a fun book, and it'll probably be a bit crazier than the previous book.
Cool, right on. Well, you are a very busy man. You have a podcast. You can go to foxnewsradio.com, click Red Eye Tonight on the podcast. You also have your website, The Daily Gut, where you blog, foxnews.com/redeye. And again, it's Red Eye with Greg Gutfeld. It airs 1 a.m. Mountain Time, 3 a.m. Eastern. Again, I want to congratulate you on all your success. Keep up the good work. Red Eye is a fantastic show. Everyone should check it out. Being a conservative or not, it's highly entertaining. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to call into the show.
You got it. It was my pleasure.
Right on, man. Well, I will be watching Red Eye, and have a fantastic day. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you.
Metalhead Murphy on K-Bear 101.